Welcome to Jewish Cinémathèque, where we meet some of the important faces involved with films that tackle aspects of the Jewish experience. Today I'm joined by Israeli writer-director Michal Vinik, whose compelling film Valeria is Getting Married, Valeria Mitchatenet, tells a story about, well, mail-order bride comes to Israel. A Ukrainian woman is brought to Israel not necessarily to meet her basherta, her fated one, but to meet an Israeli man who has bought the right to bring her there for the purpose of matrimony. Straightforward, not illegal, he just wants a wife.
It's from him.
Красавица моя.
Ну а что еще надо? Хороший человек, хорошие деньги.
Если ты сделала хороший выбор, и ты увидишь, у тебя будет отличная жизнь. Ты не обязана ни на что соглашаться. Он тебя выделил в комнату. Просто запрись, если ты не сможешь заснуть.
Citizens. 1 year she will get citizens. She got all the rights, like all the citizens.
מה, ועד אז היא עושה מה שאתה אומר לה?
חתום עליה 30,000 שקל מבורחת.
מיכאל, אני שילמתי $5,000.
אני צריכה אותה פה.
את תכננת את זה איתה?
ושהיא תפתח את הפה ותגיד, איתן, אני אוהבת אותך. ככה אני רוצה. ככה אני רוצה.
Valeria is Getting Married is being shown as part of the New York Jewish Film Festival, presented by the Jewish Museum and Film at Lincoln Center. It is an Israeli and Ukrainian co-production and was nominated for numerous awards at last year's Ophir competition, Israel's Academy Award, winning for Miss Vinik Best Screenplay Award. It is Michal's second feature film, but she has co-written other films, including Working Women, directed by Michal Aviad, who joined us a few years back for our show. Michal is also on the faculty of the Steve Tisch School of Film and Television at Tel Aviv University. Michal, welcome to Jewish Cinémathèque.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you. Michal, how did you get started in filmmaking? I mean, is this something you always wanted to do as a child?
No. How did I end up here? I liked all kinds of arts. I like music, and I like people. I mean, I like and hate people in the same time. But I was curious about studying psychology, actually. I went to psychology and film together, and then I realized I don't want to become a therapist because I don't know why, actually. And I started writing about people, but it has the same kind of curiosity about the humankind. So I started writing, and then I became a director. It was first writing for me.
And when did you start making films? When you were in school, as film projects, as a student?
I wrote a feature film, and then I wanted to direct it, so I studied directing.
And that feature film was
Was my
Blush.
first, yeah.
Or in Hebrew it's called Barash.
Yeah.
And tell us about the film and why you zeroed in on that subject, because it's quite powerful and striking in terms of the approach that you took.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. The first film I made was about people I knew. And so I made a film about a girl who loves girls in Israel, with the Israeli climate, with another subplot about her sister who is having an affair with an Arab guy. And that's it, yeah.
And how was it received? I mean, Tel Aviv is known today as the LGBT capital of the Middle East, but how was it received by the Israeli public?
The Israeli public, it was a bit extreme for the Israeli public, but it was a festival hit. So
around the world?
Yeah.
and shown in what, I think over 90 festivals, if I'm not mistaken?
120 festivals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what about the reaction in Israel? Why didn't it catch on? Just
In Israel, it was a bit radical, not because of the lesbian theme, because it was a bit radical speaking about Arabs as a possibility. A romance with an Arab guy in Israel is very edgy.
So it's fascinating. The lesbian piece was not a problem.
Yeah, I asked my father, would you like me to have a love affair with a woman or an Arab? He decided he doesn't want to answer. Yeah.
But still, this whole issue of having a relationship with an Arab really, and it just turned people off, or just what?
It was full of drugs also, and we had 16 plus crowd. You couldn't get in if you're a child.
Oh, you mean to say it was restricted for age 16 and up?
Yeah, but that was for a nude scene actually. It was a bit radical, the film. Yeah. There was a 7-minute sex scene between girls. Yeah.
And subsequent to that, when did you start teaching film?
I started teaching from the moment I was actually a student. Yeah, because I was writing for a long time and I had a lot to teach about writing, and then I studied directing while I was teaching screenwriting.
Now, as a woman director, have you focused in largely on, I mean, this is a film about literally two couples.
Yeah.
But in your previous work, you focused on women coming from a feminist perspective, or?
You know, when a woman directs, she brings herself. So for me, it's not choosing subjects. It's just it's a male-dominant world. So
Male-dominant world in Israel and around the world.
Around the world, yeah, I think.
And in terms of getting funding, do you think that hurt you as a woman director?
No.
So women have been able to break through in
Yes.
Israeli cinema. That
Yes.
was not always the case.
No, and in television it was worse. Now I just directed a series. I always think follow the money. When the money in television became big, then there were less women there. And it's always follow where the money is, and you'll see a majority of men. And then we follow also. I mean, women like me that are...
Talented women like you. No, really.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah.
Women like me that want to just be like anybody else, you know.
Back in 2014, you were involved in the making of a film about Pinchas Sadeh that Chagai Levy directed.
Yeah, I wrote the Yona Volach chapter.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was a very interesting way of working with Chagai.
It was called what, The Accursed?
The Accursed, yeah, it's a series that Chagai made. It had 5 chapters. I was only writing 1 chapter under the guidance of Chagai. And I didn't really write a word. It was like making a documentary in a way, because I was listening to Yona Volach speaking and translating it into script. It was really interesting and very special, not the usual way of writing.
Tell us about Yona Volach, because our audience doesn't know who Yona Volach
Yona Volach was a poet, a radical poet. I wonder what she had to do today in Israel, because then she was extreme. Now I don't know how she would find a place even.
Because there's no room for
because all the world,
poet?
I think it's not an Israeli thing. Everything is going into something very... I'm losing a word because I'm not from here. Conservative.
Uh-huh.
Everything's becoming very, very conservative now, I think.
And so when you were writing this, she's a radical poet. How did you make that so that, I mean, it was a TV series, so you wanted to make sure it was going to be received well by the public.
That was Chagai's part. I was just translating her words into some kind of a structure that would be dramatic enough. but still would be her speaking. And one time I wrote a sentence for me, not her sentence, and Chagai spotted it in a second.
Really?
Yeah, because all the words in the script were hers. Only the structure was dramatic.
And
some people thought it's true. It's a documentary. Some people thought it's a documentary. It's crazy.
so as a radical poet, a radical storyteller, did her story impact you as a filmmaker later on in your work?
I think what I understood is that any woman that is working in these kind of fields, cinema, poetry, literature, is radical. Yeah, I didn't know that until I was in the business.
And do you consider yourself a radical filmmaker?
I don't know, I think like any human being, I'm half radical, half conservative, and I have this conflict inside me all the time. Yeah, I'm not more radical than anybody, but I'm a woman. And that only this fact makes me not very conservative.
And when you sit with your students and you teach them, how does this impact the way you teach?
Good question. I think that just the fact that I'm a woman impacts them, especially the young women, but also the men. Because we have, I don't know, I think women have another way of thinking. I'm really interested in men. I have 2 boys. I'm a mother. And I hope that men will be interested in women and their views, political views, artistic views, just the same. But I don't know if this is the reality.
When you began considering Valeria, tell us how it evolved. How did the story, I mean, it's quite a story.
Yeah, it's quite a story. I was walking with the character of Christina in my head. I think I know women like her that are not brides.
So tell us who Christina is, for the audience who hasn't yet
Christina
seen the film.
is the main character in my film. She's someone who married an Israeli guy through this kind of deals.
She's Ukrainian.
She's Ukrainian,
not Jewish.
yes. She's not Jewish. She married a guy and she's here for 4 years already, here in Israel.
Right.
And she has 1 year to complete her papers.
But she just arrives in Israel, or is there a match made with her husband? I mean, how did she meet him?
She came to marry him through this brides in order deal.
Sort of this mail order bride,
Yes.
which is the basis for your story.
Yes.
So she herself is the product of a match made long distance?
Yes, and then she and her husband, they became these kind of matchmakers, and she brings her sister, which is made from different materials, and that's the story.
So her sister is encouraged to come to Israel, to leave Ukraine, and to meet an Israeli man, and for the purpose of marriage.
Yes.
It's a co-production with Ukraine that began before the war.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did this shidduch take place?
The head of the Israeli fund is the matchmaker here. What happened was that we were looking for the actress for Valeria's part, and we didn't find it in Israel.
All the Russian immigrants, you couldn't find the right actor?
No, because what I realized while auditioning the women was that the body language of Israeli women is different. They move more comfortably in the public space. And the Russian immigrants lost the body language, the body language from the Ukraine, from Russia.
So as part of their assimilation process, they lose their body language?
Somehow, yes.
Fascinating.
Yes, because, Israel, if I go to the grocery store in my pajamas, it's not considered crazy. Yeah.
Nor here.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
No, not here.
Okay.
You can go with your pajamas to the
Yeah,
grocery
as a matter of
store.
fact, it's very, very much, it's sort of in vogue. Yeah.
Maybe that's why I love it here. But
Okay.
in the Ukraine or in Russia, women are more well dressed outside, and the rules are different. And I didn't find somebody who would feel like a fish out of the water. So we started looking in Kiev for an actress, and I was supposed to fly with the casting director, but then there was this virus that nobody knew.
What was the name of that virus?
Yeah, the COVID started, and I couldn't fly, so we casted her through Zoom. Her name is Dasha Tvonovich. She's from Kiev. It was a big, big problem to bring her to Israel, and we rehearsed only through Zoom.
And the problem was because of COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
So you had to do all of this. We're talking about what, 2020?
Before vaccinations.
Before vaccine, so it's even that much worse.
Yeah.
But she was supposed to come, and then she couldn't come.
She couldn't come because they closed all the borders. But then somehow she came, and we had to put her 2 weeks in isolation. Yeah, and I brought her my guitars because she was going to become crazy. She didn't know, in the Ukraine they don't have this thing.
They don't have guitars, or
No,
they don't have isolation.
They don't have isolation, yeah. She didn't even understand she's going to be like that, and she was shocked. And also she had to rehearse from her little hotel room. We rehearsed through Zoom, and she doesn't know the language. She doesn't know anybody. And it was very good for me as a director, because you can see that in the film, I think. That
Yeah.
she's not at ease.
She's a stranger.
And she doesn't understand a word. Yeah.
Had you ever had any kind of experience like this before?
I was in China.
And were you
I was
making
the
films
only...
in China?
No, but I was in a festival, and I didn't understand anything. Yeah, and I didn't understand even the subtext of the body language, nothing. So I think I know, maybe a little bit. And you can't act that. Yeah.
And her portrayal is wonderful. She's absolutely
Thank you.
terrific.
She's a great woman.
But the story itself, I mean, had you met people who were actually mail order brides?
I met one.
By chance, or as part of your
No,
research?
I was researching for years. Actually, what was interesting for me were the men, not the women. Because the women I could understand in an intuitive way, wartime, I can understand. But the men, it's fascinating.
The fact that they can't meet a woman in their own turf.
Yeah, I don't know. It has to do with self-esteem, and I was diving into monologues on the internet of men that considered buying a bride, and one of them was a great monologue of somebody that he hated Israeli women because he felt weak. He thought that maybe no Israeli women want him because he doesn't have a car of his own. And I based the character of Eitan, the person that comes to buy a bride, I based it on him because something in that touched my heart.
So sad.
Very sad, yeah.
And so I imagine your psychology training came in handy.
Yeah, I'm not trained in psychology. But
No, but
yeah.
I mean your courses that you had taken.
I thought it's better not to judge anybody in this film because it would be very not interesting to tell a story through this angle, unless I love the character, and I love them.
You loved him?
Him, yes.
Because?
Because...
I mean, it sounds like he's sort of a little pathetic, no?
Pathetic is lovable. We're all pathetic, no? Sometimes.
Okay. All right. So the story is about this couple. She's now living in Israel, 4 years? She hasn't yet gotten her citizenship. She's not Jewish, so therefore she doesn't get automatic citizenship. She's married to an Israeli man, and they decide to do a mail order bride, paid 5,000 shekel or whatever it is? Dollars.
Yeah.
And it's what? It's his friend who can't
It's not really a friend, but somebody
who
knows. Yeah.
who has the money to be able to put it up. The person that you base this on, did you ever share this with that person, that you were modeling your character after him?
No, of course not.
Did you ever meet this person, or it's just somebody you saw on the internet?
It's a lot of people, it's not only one. But I think I understood something about this guy.
Tell us more. I mean, what drives a man to seek a total stranger? I mean, I imagine, certainly in the film, they've done some Skyping, they've been back and forth, but to want to marry a total stranger, somebody who's not even Jewish, somebody who can't even become a citizen right away.
He's liberal. He doesn't care about the woman not being Jewish, but I think he wants love like anybody else. Yeah, and also I have to say that they tried in Israel to make this kind of deals illegal, but it's not possible to make it illegal because it's matchmaking, basically. It resembles a lot of ways of matchmaking, even for Orthodox people. There's a matchmaker, he gets money, sometimes more than $5,000, and so it's not illegal. I read the whole protocol of a politician, Merav Michaeli, that tried to make it illegal, and there was a very fascinating discussion about that. It's not prostitution. It's a gray area, which is much more interesting to me.
In your research, did you find that this is also common in other cultures, in other countries?
Yes. Here.
Here?
In
it's
the US.
done here?
Yes, of course. In Germany, in England, sometimes the brides are from the Philippines and not from the Ukraine. Yeah, but it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's not Israeli. And 90% of the marriages fail.
90%?
Yes, but I was interested in the 10%.
At one point you saw a documentary about
yes,
this.
Yes, Nili Tal's great series.
What did she show in the documentary?
This mechanism and a few couples. It was part of my research, and I really enjoyed her angle because I think, like me, she also saw these men as human beings, and she wasn't accusing them or just accusing them. She was seeing the complexity of the situation. Of course, I don't think nobody should buy no woman and no organs, and of course I think that, but I thought that this story has to be told with love for all the characters in order to be relevant, not only because it's not only about brides and buying women, it's about men and women in general, I think.
We see the relationship between the couple who are in Israel, the couple that have been married now for 4 years.
Yeah.
They seem to be in a good relationship. And at a certain point, and again, I don't want to give away the story, but at a certain point, there is tension. It's not as if she's bringing in any bride, she's bringing in her own sister to be the bride. And what was that all about? And where did you base that on? I mean, this sort of a sense, I mean, this is his sister-in-law. How does he treat her? And what's in it for him?
I don't think you're speaking about Michael.
Michael,
yeah.
Michael.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted her to bring her.
He didn't want his wife Christina
Yeah.
to bring Valeria.
No, because I think he wanted to be in control of everything. And he says in the film, he says, "You're not going to make a Russian revolution here." He didn't want, but his wife wanted her sister to come. So
it
we did
was
it.
really his wife, Christina, wanting her sister to have what, a better life?
Yes.
Because she felt that in Ukraine, her life was not going to be as fulfilled?
Yes, and also for herself.
To have her sister nearby.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some beautiful moments in the film between Christina and Valeria. You see sort of a tension because Valeria arrives and she's not so sure if she wants, again, I don't want to give away the story, but she's not so sure if she really likes the notion of this guy that she's meeting. And there's tension because I imagine Christina was on the line here. I mean, she had forced this on Michal and her husband, and now it's not clear whether it's going to work out.
Yeah, or clearly it's not going to work out.
So you were looking at relationships between husband and wife, while at the same time between two sisters who clearly have not seen each other for many years and seem to be very different people.
Yes. One is more conservative and one is less conservative. One is still dreaming, one is a practical woman. But I think it's just parts of the same, it can be looked at as a parts of the same, inside everybody there's a conservative part and a not conservative part. So it's some kind of a discussion between these two parts.
Right. Let's take a look at a clip from Valeria is Getting Married.
Лера. Дай, может, я не выйду отсюда, пока он не уйдет. Лера, дай мне зайти на минутку. Нет. Дай мне зайти, я здесь одна. Нет. Ты что, за второе происшествие собираешься там торчать? Нет, только до тех пор, пока он не уйдет. Он не уйдет. Говори его уйти. Он собирается ночевать на чертовом диване. Лер. Пускай своего шанса.
Кристина, ты привезла меня сюда не ради моего шанса, а ради себя.
Это неправда. Лер, ты не обязана с ним ничего делать. Лер, он же тебе выделил комнату. Он ляжет на диван, он хороший парень. И ты не обязана ничего делать. Слушай, ты испугалась, окей? Посиди здесь пару минут, успокойся, умойся и возьми себя в руки.
Лер, ты что, к двери подойдешь, я все таблетки выпью.
Дай сюда.
Нет.
Так дай мне это.
Нет.
Лера,
Ты же успокойся, не собирайся пить, я просто не хочу к нему выходить.
ты что, совсем с ума, Саша? Ты что творишь?
מיכאל, הזדרקה מפתח מחלון.
תפתחי את הדלת כבר, סמק, תפתחי את הדלת.
מיכאל, הזדרקה מפתח מחלון, אני מצטערת.
מה זה?
הזדרקה מפתח מחלון.
תפתחי את הדלת.
מיכאל, סליחה.
Again, I don't want to give away the story, but you shot this literally in almost entirely, in the apartment.
Yes.
What was it like doing that? And how long did you film for?
It was 12 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's very little.
And what kind of crew did you have?
Just a regular crew. I think I wrote it as a bit as a play. I didn't leave any scene till it was really ended. We had shots of 15 minutes that we said action, everybody went to sleep, and then cut after 15 minutes. So yeah, it was a bit like shooting a play. We tried to shoot it chronologically, in a chronological
Which
way.
is that much harder.
It's easier for me to direct actors like this. around the same location, and it's a real-time story, so we had to build the light that would be stable for 12 days, because it's a story that goes, I think, maybe 7 hours, 8 hours story. And
it's a 7-hour story which you shot in 12 days, and you have different lighting outside.
So we did that, and in Israel it was shot during winter. In Israel, winter is a sunny day and then rain and sunny day. And so we built an artificial light in the house that didn't move at all. And we shot it like this. It was fun. It was during the COVID. So everybody
You shot it during COVID.
Before vaccinations.
Still before vaccinations.
Yeah. And so everybody was grateful to work on a set, and it was really great.
People were wearing masks or at
yes,
that
of
point?
course, yeah.
Still wearing, wow.
Yeah.
And the exteriors, how were the neighbors? How did they respond?
The rain, we did the rain, so nobody liked us after this day.
You had artificial rain.
Yeah.
There's an exterior shot where they're looking, again, I don't want to give it away, where they're looking for something.
Yeah.
And it's pouring.
Yeah, but it's our rain. It's not real rain.
So the neighbors were not happy.
Not so much, yeah.
Did you have to get permits to be able to do this?
Yes, of course. Yeah, everything was legal.
And the film funding, how did you get funding for the film?
In Israel, you have a fund, or two funds actually, and you just apply with the script and you get
So you
money.
got funding from the Israel Film Fund and from the Rabinowitz Fund?
No, you can't get both. Yeah, yeah. So we got this, and Gesher, which is another fund, and Mifal Apais, which is another fund, and the United King came in the ending and bought the film. So yeah.
And the film opened at the Venice Film Festival. That's an incredible achievement. It's not easy to get into Venice.
Fun. No, it's not easy at all, and it was fun.
And how did the Italian audience respond?
Wow, it was crazy, in a good way. They were standing, and it was really.
And then a little over a week later, or even less, you're in Toronto at the Toronto International Film Festival.
I wasn't there because I was shooting the series, but the producer was there, and and I was the whole year. I was around the world in many festivals.
So in contrast to your first film, how was this received by the Israeli public?
Better. Yeah, people came and enjoyed themselves very much, yeah.
And you got the award for Best Screenplay.
Yeah.
It's quite something.
Yeah, it was nice.
The film is called Valeria is Getting Married, Valeria Mitchatenet. It's an incredibly fascinating film, a look at really two couples and how they relate to each other, and the whole Ukrainian-Israeli experience pre-war in Ukraine. Worth seeing. Michal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.